Tony Hawk's Pro Skater franchise has come a long way since we'd crowd around a friend's PlayStation while taking turns on the demo disc, passing the controller around with each bail and cheering each other on through sketchy landings and miracle combos. Now, I don't remember every detail of those early days, but I do remember the Canada level from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, which I played over and over again on my GameCube. Now, more than 2 decades later, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 is back, fully rebuilt and finally grinding its way onto the Switch 2. This isn't just a re-release, it's a revival of 2 of the most influential entries in the series, brought to life with modern visuals, online multiplayer, and performance that keeps up with your reflexes. What's it like? Put on your baggy pants, pick out some skating tunes, and rise and grind as we review Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 for Nintendo Switch 2. Before we begin, this review covers both the Switch 1 and 2 versions of the game. The Switch 1 footage and comparisons will appear later in this review, and the footage you'll see in the review is mostly for Switch 2. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 brings back the bulk of the original content from both games, including every major level, the full trick sets, and a robust lineup of skaters, both classic and modern. I spent my time jumping through Tour Mode, the familiar 2-minute challenge setup, and Free Skate, ticking off objectives one moment and just vibing through levels on the next. One of the biggest shakeups is how Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 has been restructured. Originally known for its open-ending, free-roaming format, it's now been folded into a traditional challenge-based system across the rest of the remake. Some fans might see this as a step backwards, but I actually think it works surprisingly well here in keeping everything uniform. The tighter structure keeps the momentum flowing, and the bite-sized challenge design fits naturally with the game's rhythm. Create a Skater and Create a Park modes return too, offering generous toolkit for both you and your ideal skater and your dream skate park. I gave both a go and was thoroughly impressed with how easy it was to get something fun off the ground. I was even more impressed by how seamlessly online multiplayer worked, as cross-platform matchmaking was a breeze. I teamed up with a friend for a private match, and then we dropped into some public games with minimal fuss after the initial load-in. Gameplay itself is exactly what you'd hope for. It somehow manages to feel both faithful and fresh, like picking up a board you haven't ridden in years and instantly remembering how it all balances. Manuals, reverts, and spine transfers are all here and all flow as smoothly as ever. And Iron Galaxy deserves real credit for capturing the weight, speed, and snap of the originals while making it approachable for newcomers. There's also a new mod system which improves accessibility and gameplay balance, but I'll touch more on that later. Rounding things out is a fantastic soundtrack. Sure, a few licensed tracks are missing due to licensing issues, but there's a mix of returning songs and new additions, and it covers a great spread of punk, rock, and hip-hop. Visually, Tony Hawk's 3 and 4 follows in the footsteps of the 1 and 2 remake, offering a fresh lick of paint that brings these classic levels to life. Environments pop with a rich colour palette and plenty of over-the-top lighting effects that just add the right amount of wow factor without feeling out of place. From the snowy ramps of Canada to the rusted-out foundry, everything feels bold, crisp, and carefully reimagined. Character models, for some reason, seem a little off, and it's like they're very soft and the polygons haven't rendered correctly, and while it's passable, they do sit in that awkward middle ground, where it's not quite realistic and not quite stylized. Still, once you're moving, it's the environments that shine, and they more than carry the visual presentation. On Switch 2, performance is smooth and steady for the most part, targeting 60 frames a second and usually hitting it without wavering. In my testing, the only real issue I had was one single crash to the home screen, and that happened just as a new update had rolled out. After the patch, the game ran cleanly, and I couldn't replicate the issue since. It's fast, fluid, and matches the responsiveness that the series is known for, whether in docked or in handheld mode. On Switch 1, unfortunately, the game doesn't fare nearly as well. While it aims for about 30 frames per second, it struggles to maintain it. And with some levels, particularly like LA, it dipped so low that it bordered on unplayable. These speed wobbles are noticeable even in slower sections, and it became genuinely distractive during the fast-paced combo or complex lines. That particular level is a frustrating experience, especially when the rest of the game is so well crafted, and hopefully it's something that can be addressed as a post-launch patch, but as it stands, the Switch 1 version sometimes feels like it's barely holding on. For my skater boys and skater girls looking into accessibility, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 has a solid range of options that make it approachable without dulling the fun. There's a new mod system that works like old school cheat codes, letting you toggle features like perfect balance for grinds and manuals, or boosting score multipliers so you can focus more on the flow than precision. You can even slow down time, which is a great option if you're learning the ropes or just want to nail that final trick in your combo. Not every mod is available in every mode. Leaderboards and ranked play still require a level playing field, but for casual sessions and campaign runs, it's a fantastic way to tailor the experience to your comfort level. There's also a good flexibility in visual clarity. You can adjust the UI to remove clutter and increase readability, which makes a big difference when you're zipping through a combo heavy run. But, as always, I recommend further research to see if Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 suits your needs. At $90 Australian, there's a lot of game here for fans of the franchise. You're getting 2 full campaigns, a full suite of tricks, online multiplayer, and robust creation tools, all built on a strong gameplay foundation that still holds up to this day. For those with the nostalgia, or anyone just craving a polished arcade-style sports game, there's plenty of lines to grind on here. It's worth noting the version differences though, because on the Switch 2, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 is completely digital only. Even the retail version is a code in a box. Meanwhile, the Switch 1 version comes on a physical cartridge, but still requires a hefty 13 gig download. There's no upgrade path between the two, so if you want the best Nintendo version of the game, you'll need to go fully digital on the Switch 2. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 doesn't just ride the nostalgia wave. It earns its place with sharp controls, satisfying flow, and a clear love for what made these games great in the first place. The addition of tour mode across both games brings consistent structure that works surprisingly well, even for Tony Hawk's 4's more open levels. It might upset a few purists, but I still had a blast ticking off challenges and revisiting those classic maps with a modern twist. Performance on the Switch 2 is strong with responsive gameplay and visuals that pop, while the mod system makes the experience more inclusive without watering things down. The only real downside is the state of the Switch 1 version, where technical issues are hard to ignore. Still, for those ready to drop in on the Switch 2, this is a fantastic, content-rich revival that sticks the landing far more than it stumbles, unlike me. So, what's it like? Tony Hawk's 3 and 4 is like the brilliant 1 and 2 remaster, but bigger and better. I award it an 84 out of 100. In the interest of full disclosure, a review code of the Switch 2 version was provided for review, but this doesn't influence my score. Thanks so much for watching my video. If you liked it, the best way you can support What's It Like is by liking, subscribing, and sharing it with your friends. For more reviews, click on the thumbnails to the right, and for everything Nintendo, check out what'sitLike.com.au.